Hi, boys and girls. Well, today we're going to look at the life cycle of an apple. A life cycle is pretty much a pattern that repeats, but it's a living one. So, this is the life cycle of an apple. Apple. Life cycle of an apple. And I've got my front cover, got my back cover, got my spine. Let's find out if our book is fiction or nonfiction. Got our title page and table of contents. So I know this book is going to give me information. It's going to help put some wrinkles on my brain so that I can have more information and then I'll know more. So the more you read, the more you know, and then your brain will surely grow. What is an apple? An apple is a fruit that grows on a tree. There are thousands of different kinds of apples. These crab apples taste really sour. They're good for cooking and for making apple chutney and apple butter and apple jam, but you don't really want to eat them right off the tree. The apples in this book are red delicious. They taste sweet and juicy. Every year, each tree produces a new crop of apples. So we've got our crab apples, and then we've got our red delicious apples, just like that was on the cover, a red delicious. Apple tree, late winter. These apple trees are about 10 years old. The trees have no leaves during the cold months of winter. Look, it almost looks dead, but we know that it's not dead. We know that it is dormant. It is sleeping, just like our maple tree was in our other story. Each twig is covered with tight buds. As the days get warmer, the buds begin to open. And I can tell that these words, twig and buds, are important because they are dark black, they're bolded. So I know those are scientific words I should look for. And if I don't know the meaning of them, I can go back to my glossary, and my glossary will tell me the meaning of those words. Bud, early spring. Inside the bud are tiny leaves. They push through the bud and grow bigger. Soon the whole tree is covered with leaves, which is really good because the tree needs the leaves to help make the food for the plant, and we know that something that is living needs food. Leaves use water from the soil, sunlight, and air to make food for the tree. Pink buds are growing among the leaves. I wonder what those pink buds will turn into. What do you think? The pink buds open out into small pinkish white flowers called blossoms. Each flower has 5 petals with yellow stamens in the center. Let's take a look and see if they're right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, pentagonal in shape. Cool. Now the whole tree is covered with blossoms. The flowers smell sweet, and the stamens are covered in a yellow dust called pollen. We need that pollen because we're waiting for our pollinators to come. Do you know what a pollinator is? Let's read and find out. Pollination. This honeybee is flying from flower to flower. It collects pollen and stores it on its sticky hairs on its back legs. You can kind of see it's a little bit tricky. Some of the pollen from one flower rubs off onto the center of the next flower. This pollen helps to make tiny apple seeds. Cool. So we need those bees to help get our apples. Without our friend the bees, it makes it much harder for the trees to grow their apples. Thank you, bees. The flower has done its job. the petals wither and fall off, leaving a tiny apple with the apple seeds inside. The apples begin to swell and grow. The skin becomes waxy and shiny. If you look closely, you can see the remains of the petals on one end. So at the end of the apple there, you can kind of see the petals just kind of left on there. This is a caterpillar of a codling moth. It is just one of the many insects that likes to eat the leaves and fruit of the apple trees. No, I want to eat the fruit of the apple tree. I don't want him to have it. A caterpillar has eaten a hole in this apple. Most farmers spray their trees to kill the insects before they damage all of the fruit. Yikes. So some insects are helpful, like the bees and the butterflies. We need them to pollinate. And then some insects are not helpful, but they are just trying to live. All summer, the apples grow bigger and sweeter. These big red apples are now sweet and ripe. Ripe means they're ready. The whole tree is covered with juicy red apples. Yay! Now can we eat them? I think we can. Harvest. The apples are picked by hand and stored carefully in big boxes. If they are kept cool, they will last all winter. Some of the apples fall to the ground before they are picked. Wasps and birds feed on the sweet flesh, and the apples slowly rot. So the flesh, that's the part that we like to eat. It's the white part of the apple. We call that the flesh. The covering around the apple, we call that the skin, much like we have skin. Mid to late autumn. The apple trees are getting ready for winter. The leaves turn red and fall to the ground. As they rot, they slowly become part of the soil. Buds have formed on the twigs. They will stay like this until next spring, when they will open up into new leaves. Wait a minute. Then the leaves will come, the blossoms, then the fruit, then it gets picked, then the leaves fall, then you get buds, then you get leaves, then you get blossoms. It's a pattern. It's a life cycle. It just goes round and round, and you can see our pattern on the bottom of each of the pages that we've been reading. Farmers prune the trees every winter. They cut off some of the branches to make the tree stronger. Inside each apple there are brown seeds. If they are planted, they might grow into new apple trees next spring. So here we have our red skin, we have our white flesh, we have our core, the part down the middle. Lots of people don't eat the core, but some people do. Then we have our seeds. And the scientific word for seeds in an apple are pips. See if you can tap that one out. Pips. An apple orchard. This orchard produces thousands of ripe apples each year. Some will be sold to shops and markets. The rest will be made into pies or juice. Apple trees start to grow fruit at 3 to 5 years. Most farmers usually replace their trees before they are 20 years old. Cool. So you have to get new trees when they're about 20. They have to be about 3 or 5. That's like you guys. You could be apple trees and grow some apples. Awesome. And I read over here that they're going to take some of these apples to the market. That's like the farmer's market story that we read. It's going to make money for the farmer. Yay, he needs that so that he can have the things he needs, like we do. And here's a picture of that life cycle we were talking about. Buds, and then our leaves, our blossoms, pollination, growing, and harvest. So now you know about the life cycle of an apple tree. Think about if there are some other life cycles that you know. Have a look, scientists. See if you can figure out where's another life cycle